It's actually using for the zone. Hey guys, this is another special edition of Unger the Radar, and I'm your host, Randy Unger, where we're going to talk all things film today. And right now I have documentary filmmaker, Mr. Lee Leshen. How are you, sir?
How are you? Nice to see you, Randy.
Yeah, thank you for making the time today.
Absolutely. We're missing.
Yeah. So you are with Patchwork Media.
Yeah.
And you are responsible for two of my favorite documentaries. Back in Time, which is basically focuses on the lives of the fans of Back to the Future. Basically production, behind the scenes, and all that fun stuff. And also, the same can be said for Ghost Heads.
Which one?
Ghost Heads.
Never heard.
Yeah, very good. This is a film about
Ghostbusters. Right.
Slightly popular franchise.
Yeah.
Not too big.
Well, speaking of franchise, you're with the New York City Ghostbusters?
Yes, I am.
So am I. I'm an honorary member.
Are you now?
Okay. Chris Beaumont, I believe, made me an honorary member, and Eric Cudworth gave me a Apple
challenge coin.
Challenge coin, yeah, which I have on my desk. I look at every day, and sometimes I flip it over because both sides are equally beautiful.
And I carry mine everywhere I go. Guys.
Show the back of it. That's the best part.
That's the containment unit.
Yeah, like that mother of pearl in there. What is that?
Yeah, that's where the ghost. That's the ghost jail.
Yeah.
And that was actually designed, I think, by one of the comic book writers.
Really?
Yeah.
It really is a nice piece.
Yeah.
I have it right in front. It's the thing I look at when I'm just, it's right above my computer.
I love it. I love the weight of it. It's just a perfect reminder of my passion for that franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get involved with these films?
So first of all, where's my cup? I mean, I know. 2 cups.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
But the...
I want to sip.
No, I'm all right. There's a residue around the side.
Okay.
That's very much. Yes. I got involved with Back in Time was the first one, and that was literally just being on my couch it was a July rainy Saturday, I think. And I was bored to tears, and I just got an Apple TV, and I was kind of just enamored with the idea that I could put my TV on my television. So I was looking at things on the internet, just Googling different types of things that I wanted to watch that I didn't want to watch on the screen like this. So I said, I'm sure somebody out there has done a Back to the Future documentary, something where if they go to their guide, on their cable, and they see Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 is on, there's got to be other people out there like me who cancel their plans for that and stay home and watch. Yeah. So I was looking up and I found this Kickstarter for Back in Time, the first one, and I reached out to the guys and said, I love this. I'll throw you some cash, of course, but I'd like to work on the movie because.
What guys are you referring to?
I'm sorry, the director Jason Aaron and the executive producer Louis Scrooge.
Okay.
And so I reached out to them and I said, this would be something I'd love to be involved with, and so I joined on that. And that was just a whirlwind experience, and it was terrific. It was a year of just focusing on Back to the Future, or I should say, 2 years, I guess, or a year and a half. And it was fantastic hitting that October 21st deadline. By the way, speaking of Back to the Future anniversaries, today is November 5th, November 5th, 1955.
Which fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So. And then from Back in Time, after that release, Tommy Avalone from Ghost Heads had reached out to me and said, we're doing something similar about the fans with Ghostbusters. So, do you want to be involved in that? And he and I produced it together. Brendan Mertens was the director. It was a lot of fun. I love that movie. It's got a lot of heart. We're talking about, it's got the feels, and some great memories. And Tom Gephardt was great, and Ryan Espin and you,
Peter Mosen,
right. And Ron Jameo and Ruben and Rosa Alonso, all these great, amazing people that we got to meet with. I mean, Chris and Erica was talking about earlier. It's a great community. It's a great community of people. And then when I was at New York Comic Con a few weeks ago promoting the Nickelodeon documentary, which we can get into a little bit,
yes.
But tons of Ghostbusters. Some knew me, some didn't. Right. Some I had met before me, and some
constantly growing.
But
it's great.
As soon as we made the connection with each other, it was all smiles. And I was really happy to see a lot more Martys and stuff, Marty and Docs, and Rick and Morty has really helped that as well. Okay. So, thank you to Dan Harmon for doing that, and Justin Roiland, because that's something that's I think bringing that franchise back into the spotlight into the younger generations, really embracing it, and hopefully embracing the originals.
Now, the new movie that came out last summer, the new Ghostbusters,
right?
Was that part of the reason why you did the documentary? Like that, the conjunction, the combination.
That's a question you'll have to ask to Brendan and possibly Tommy also. I came in a little later to it, so I came in just before the first trip to LA, just before we interviewed Ivan, Ryman, I believe. And so we hadn't done a lot of the celebrity interview stuff. They had done a lot of the piecing together the footage from different franchises that were sent in.
Comic-Cons and stuff.
Comic-Cons, but just people like Tom Gephardt and others around the country who sent in their own videos, which we used in the film.
Right.
So using that found footage really gave it that authentic feel of this is for the fans.
Now, how did you decide who to reach out to?
As far as
in the fan community.
Again, that's a Brendan or Tommy guys before me. Right. But my job when I came in was really it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It's working with getting the interview set up and stuff. Most of the time, by the time once the cameras are rolling, my job is done, and it's really up to to Brendan to keep that moving. And Tommy was working with the camera, and Derek Kunz, our DP, was terrific. And so as the producers, the business sort of my job is sort of done once the cameras are rolling. At least on the set. There's nothing really for me to do on the set. Okay. Aside from keeping talent happy and
what was your role exactly?
So what you do is it's putting together the interviews. It's like being a wedding planner, where every day is a different wedding. Okay. And sometimes you have multiple weddings a day. If you have different production, if you have company moves, you go to a different. If you're doing Christopher Lloyd in the morning, and you're doing somebody else in the evening, or somebody in the afternoon, and one is in Santa Barbara, the other one is going to be on the Sony lot. You never know, because we work with that. And we have Goldberg a lot from the Goldbergs, and he always lets us use the set, which is terrific to shoot. But sometimes that means you got to bounce around a lot. So it's okay. What time do we have to be there? Do we need any food for the talent? Things like that. Yeah. But really, it's more. I'm in an office a lot, and I'm calling up insurance companies and getting quotes for our different types of insurance. We're talking to lawyers and making sure that everything we're doing is okay. Okay. As far as using clips and following something called fair use, which is a doctrine that allows us to do these types of movies where we can reference. If you're talking about a flux capacitor, we can show a flux capacitor and not get sued for showing.
So it's like a copyright thing?
Yeah, stuff like that. That's a whole other conversation, a whole other podcast. That's a small part of it, but it's a lot of it, the business, the nitty-gritty stuff in the background.
Now back to the Future.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you guys work with, or this may be a Brendan question, I guess, but I don't know.
Brendan wasn't he wasn't involved.
Oh, he wasn't? Okay, good. So maybe you can answer this. Did you work closely at all with the Michael J. Fox Foundation?
We worked with the foundation. We actually, after the movie came out, right before the movie came out, we worked with Gibson Guitars, and we got one of the I forget
the red one.
The red, yeah. I think it might be a Les Paul. Okay. It was the Chuck Berry, I forget. And we had a bunch of the cast sign it at our premiere, and then at different events. So we got the whole cast, Michael and Chris, and that was auctioned off for the foundation.
How much did that go for?
That went for about $8,500, but there are others that gone for in the 20s.
Wow!
So we were disappointed to get as high. But certainly, working with Michael was tremendous, and he's just a guy, man. He's really not. He's just a guy, you know. I mean, I think he was talking with our director about hockey, before we were sending for the shot. I mean, there's no. He's got no attitude.
That's great.
He's just a great guy. So and he's making tremendous headway. I think there was some articles this week about what the foundation's doing and the headway that they're making, the progress that they're making. So I think that they're doing a great job, and kudos to them for doing this.
Any plans in the future to return?
No plans to do anything.
Nothing.
I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
My cat, watch a little Red Zone tonight.
Okay.
Watch some football, and that's about it.
No, I'd love to see another Back to the Future documentary. That'd be great.
Well, there is another Back to
continued.
the Future documentary. There's Out of Time, which is people should check out. This with Joe Walzer, who was the head of the Time Machine Restoration Committee. I forget what it was called, organization, but Joe is terrific, and he and his team rebuilt the DeLorean from Part One, the car, and the one that's now on display at the Peterson Auto Museum in Los Angeles. So it was the one that was at Universal, and then it's been moved to its permanent home now at the Peterson. And Joe is all of it. He's a fantastic guy. He's great on camera, and it's a fun film.
I forget the gentleman's name, but he works a lot with Matt Bell.
Yeah.
Where they always have the DeLorean on display. You can get a photo op.
Yeah, Matt does the Marty.
Yeah,
right.
The guy who does Doc.
Yeah,
he's in charge, I think, of that car restoration or. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know Joe is the head of the Time Machine Restoration. So there's a lot of different organizations out there, certainly on Facebook and stuff.
Now, did they do anything with the time train?
With the time train, I think the time train is also in a museum somewhere. And I know that the guy, and I'm going to blank, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to blank on his name, because we interviewed him, but unfortunately he didn't make the final cut. He is on the special features, and I'm blanking on the name, but he was the guy who was in charge of the pyrotechnics, and he was in charge of blowing up the train. Right. So he has got
the green, the yellow, the red levels. Where they
that whole thing, but really the train going off the track and falling into Clara's the ravine, and so when it exploded, that's all him. So he said I think he swiped. I don't want to get in trouble, but I think he swiped the number that was on the head of the train. Okay. It was red, and that's why I think it's in my garage somewhere. I think myself, I'd love that in my office, man. Oh my god, I love it. I love the behind the scenes. So can you talk much about your upcoming project? Sure. Yeah. There's some I can, there's some I can't. There's a movie that we're doing with a comedian. Can't talk about that. Okay. There's a movie we're doing with a little boy that has to do with cancer. Can't talk about that. And then there's a comedy narrative series that we just shot the pilot and second episode, but I can't talk about that. There's a Beetlejuice documentary that will be coming out in 2018 or 2019. Tell me, you can talk about that. There's not much to say about that, except for that it's happening. Okay. And then there's if you need a consultant, I love that. Okay, good. And then there's also, but what I can talk about is the Orange Years, and that's the documentary about Nickelodeon that the directors Scott Barber and Adam Sweeney are doing. They're based out of Austin. They're terrific. They shot some stuff. We shot some stuff together in New York with Kenan Thompson. Nice. And there's a ton of people involved. There's a ton of, if you were a Nickelodeon fan in the 80s and 90s, you'd be happy with this movie. Just a bit. Yeah. So that right now is in post-production. Wow. We're hoping to get that ready in time for some festivals. The Orange Years? The Orange Years. You go to the orangeyears.com. Okay. And you can see the trailer there. It's just been released. And now it'll just be basically interviews and archive footage? Yeah, it's interviews. I mean, it's not like 4D. You're not going to get slimed. No. At that time. But, what else would you like besides interviews and archive? Yeah. Let me know. No, because Kel Mitchell actually did a meet and greet at, it was like a bar crawl a couple months ago. Right. And he was like the main event, like the prize you would win or something, some kind of raffle. You won him? Not me, but a Ghostbuster buddy of mine. He met him. Oh, okay, gotcha. You get to meet him. You get to meet him, kind of drink with him a little bit, hang out. Gotcha. And it seems a great guy. He's terrific. And I didn't get to meet him, but I heard great things about him. Yeah. Because he's in the movie. He's been interviewed. They interviewed him in LA. Good. So he's terrific, and having him and Kenan in, I think, is going to be a real treat. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they're not together. As of now, there may be another interview in the future that if we can get them both in the same room. Yeah. But they're on opposite coasts. Okay. Because we were shooting Kenan during SNL, SNL shoot, so he couldn't Something like that. So that's the other the thing with documentary filming is you got to go back and forth a lot.
Right.
A lot of people, especially when it's something that a project that's 30 years old, like a Back to the Future or something like a Ghostbusters. It's people scatter. People live their lives. It's 30 years later. So sometimes Huey Lewis was in Montana. I mean, so you can't get everybody in LA. You can't get everybody in New York. You've got to travel a little bit, so it makes it a little bit difficult.
Piece it together that way.
Yeah. So you got to think of these. You got to look at things like Back in Time had October 21st, 2015 future date. That was our release date, and that's when we knew we were going to tack on that and get that press. Ghost had same thing. We knew there was another Ghostbusters coming out.
Right.
So you tie it with that, and it makes the movie that much more popular and that much more wanted because people want to know more.
Right.
So
having said that, what are some of the other challenges that you faced during the documentary filming process?
Well, money's always the first challenge of anything in this business. So thank goodness for Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and all the crowdfunding sites that have helped out. Because without them, I always say this to people if I'm talking to film students or to other people who want to get in this. And how do they get in this? And the answer is go to Kickstarter, go to Indiegogo, look at what's being filmed, look at what people are raising money for, and offer your services as a web designer, a graphic designer, a poster person, a music person. If you're in a band and you want to get, people don't want to pay for music. So you've got music that sounds good, and it's quality, and you want to license it for free, but in exchange for credit, that boosts your, everybody steals off each other's audience.
So basically, instead of having an agent, Indiegogo or Kickstarter is where it's at.
I'm not talking about for acting. I mean, I guess maybe this
or any kind of performance art
specific to documentary.
Okay.
And I guess any other independent film. I guess as an actor you can do that also. But I'm talking specifically more for the behind the scenes people.
Okay.
That don't really know where to go for Or I had experience in the movie business. I've worked at Miramax and the Weinstein Company. I've worked on narrative film, but I had never done documentary before. This was literally a fly by the seat of my pants and just. I mean, it's not that different from narrative, when it comes to behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
But the idea is, I love to, people always say, how can I get involved in this? And how can I, I don't live in LA. What do? I live in Minnesota. Find someplace that's shooting and offer your services. Right. And just be there. You got to show up. Once you're there and you're good, people use you again. Okay.
Very good. So switching gears a bit.
Sure.
Favorite movies of all time. Okay. Not just documentaries, but I know you're a ghost head now.
Yeah.
Growing up, what were some of your favorite movies?
So I was a child of the 80s. So Back to the Future, obviously.
Perfect.
Ghostbusters, obviously. Beetlejuice, obviously.
Yes.
Nickelodeon, not so much. Want to know why? Because we didn't have cable. So I'm actually doing the Nickelodeon movie to learn more about it.
The childhood you wish you had.
Yeah, exactly. I would go to like my friends, and I would go there, and they would have Clarissa or and I would say, "Can we don't have to go outside and play. Lee, it's a rerun. No, not for Lee.
Right.
Not for Lee." So, but other movies, and I was listening to some of your other shows, and I was trying to, okay, what should I say, And honestly, I mean, any '80s movie. Yeah. I mean, every Sunday, my dad would take me and my brother to the movies.
Nice.
I'm not particularly religious. That's my sanctuary.
That's your church.
That's where I want to go.
Temple.
And so I, remember seeing all these movies, and specifically, I remember exactly where I saw Back to the Future. Nice. Which theater it was. It was in Manhasset. And grew up in Port Washington, so I'm a Long Island guy. And he was explaining the idea of time and light and traveling at different, light and sound traveling at different speeds, and saying, if I was at one, because I was asking him Back to the Future, how could this happen? Can we get in the car and punch it to 88 and see what happens? It's like, we'll give you a ticket. That's what's going to happen. So it's like, the whole idea is if I lower my hand and I'm across a football field, you'll see it after it happened. Mind blown and stuff,
Cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, Hook. I don't know if
my God.
but Hook is Hook is one of my favorites. Yeah,
I think I wore out the VHS on that one.
Did you? Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, my friend Jason and I, we used to do sleepovers almost every weekend, and we'd go to Blockbuster and we'd get Hook.
When did you buy it?
No.
It
was like $29.95.
Oh,
yeah. That money,
That's a good point.
Rather spend $1.50 or $2 every week,
Amazing idea just popped in my head. Yeah, Hook documentary.
A Hook documentary. Is it
possible?
I've certainly thought of it.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where I think it's loved. I don't know that it's got the. I mean, because a lot of everything we like to do, whether it's I'm working with the crew from Back in Time or with the guys from Ghost Heads or the Oranges. You got to get the fans involved somehow.
Right.
And I don't, when I go to the Comic-Cons, I don't see it. I mean, it's just New York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I didn't see
no Peter Pan references.
No Peter Pan. Oh, no Hook references. I mean, no Hook.
Yeah.
I mean, and you figure, I know that they're out there.
Right.
But it's just not as big of a base. And honestly, sometimes, unless somebody's backing me, I've got to look at this and say, how am I going to raise money for this?
Right.
And I need to have the fan base there. Ghost Heads was not going to be a problem.
Right.
Back to the Future. Back to the Future. We were so, for Back in Time. We were so nervous because it was because the Out of Time Kickstarter was launching the same day that we were. And I can remember talking to Bob Gale the night before, the day or 2 days before we launched, and I said, Bob, I'm a little nervous. Bob Gale, the writer, along with Zemeckis,
Bob, two Bobs.
The two Bobs, yeah. I
Right.
was talking to Bob Gale, and who was kind of like the godfather of our film. He was just terrific. He was great. And there is no Back in Time without it. And he said, I said, we're nervous with both Kickstarters. He said, Lee, you have no idea the size of this community. Don't worry. And I think within 3 days we hit our goal. Wow. We ended up raising $140,000 on that.
Nice.
On a $40,000 ask, I think.
Nice.
40 50,000, something like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I wish there were more, like I said earlier, I wish there were more, when we were in the show, there should be more clubs or kind of organizations catered specifically to Back to the Future heads.
Well, there's Back to the Future Forever, I believe. I'm trying to remember ones I'm a member. I'm a member of a bunch, but I think Back to BTTF Forever.
I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups for Back to the Future, but there's nothing like see, this is a symbol of the cohesiveness and the tangibility of Ghostbusters.
Listen, this isn't a competition. I
know. I just got a little passionate.
Yeah.
But there should be more for Back to the Future. There really should.
Well, listen, I want to see a mashup. I should have worn it today. I've got a T-shirt with a DeLorean on it and a Ghostbusters symbol on the side. And I think, Ghostbusters from the future should be a thing.
I love it. I love it. So, well, Lee, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, this is great. What a way to spend a Sunday. I expect a mug sent to me
next time. You got it. So, is anything you want to plug while we're still on the air? Patchwork, maybe?
No. I just saw watched Stranger Things 2. I think people should check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a quality show.
Netflix is a quality, brand. I think people should check them out.
Yeah, it's the new Blockbuster video.
It really is. It is. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to pay $1.50 anymore. Yeah, no, I mean, really appreciate it, but my website is patchworknyc.com, and that usually has the links to the movies and stuff, but yeah.
Sweet.
So keep an eye out for the Orange Years in 2018.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
We will have you on again, I hope.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, so we're going to have our film review segment, Everyone's a Critic, in just a moment. Cool.
Great.
Lee, thank you.
Hey, man. Thanks. That was great.
Awesome. Excellent. See you again.
Yeah.
Let me get you a mug.
And if you're ever recording the studio or something, then also let me know.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Guys,
Village Connect, or it could be Village Box.
Wow, good job on that. Definitely gonna check out that.
Oh, thanks. Great. Thank you so much.
Take care.
It was wonderful meeting you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
I don't know why I don't have lights on.
Go on, D-Cities, I'm not gonna
Actually, not even with us.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It actually looks beautiful now.
She's moving furniture.
That's it. Is that in the frame? Perfect. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good interview, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have mugs for everybody.
Such a beautiful mug.
Yeah, I should get more. It's true.
It's true.
That's a very nice one.
I was trying to do a tweet for you, but I couldn't find it. I wanted it to be perfect. I was waiting for this.
Oh,
Someday we'll have more.
could help you out with that later.
Yeah.
You taking it all in, Pete? You taking it all in? All right. Might as well bring you right back, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna fade the song out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Point to me.
I love your cup. It's so cute.
Oh, thank
The
you.
colors are so nice.
Yeah, thank you. And we're back. Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger with Under the Radar, and this is our very special film review segment, Everyone's a Critic. And with me today is screenwriter CJ Oakland. And hello, an old friend, Natalie Shmuel. How are you? How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing all right.
It's a great interview with Lee.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was a fun one. Yeah, any time I get to geek out over Back to the Future.
I know. I was jealous.
It's a good day. Yeah.
I love Back to the Future. My favorite.
Is it your favorite? Or is
my number one.
Number
favorite.
one.
Number one.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
I love Back to the Future.
Actually,
I love Hook. That was a good idea. I love that.
Anything Spielberg did in the 80s into the early 90s.
Yeah, it's a fun decade.
Very
that could work out pretty well.
What?
Yeah, that could work out. Just make a Hook documentary called Rufio.
I like it. Yeah.
Rufio.
So, guys, we're going to talk about 3 movies, 2 of which not so great, but the third one I'm going to save for the end because I think you guys agree with me. It was the stronger of the 3. So the first one we're going to talk about, it's called Hello Again, and it's basically
a soft porn musical.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's like the intro to a porno musical. Like,
Yeah.
It's people setting up a scene. It's like through different periods of time. So it's like a lot of period set pieces, like 1920s and 60s. It's 2 characters where they start like singing and flirting or something, and it's like then they just kind of stop singing. They have sex for a bit, and then they start singing again.
It's unclear if they ever actually do have sex, though.
Sometimes they do, but they don't show anything.
No,
Right.
it's each time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's really...
It's like every scene has some kind
Well, there
of
was
thing,
one scene where there was a blowjob, I guess.
It's every scene.
But you
is
just see the head weaving in and out, and I don't want to talk about this, but we have to.
Yeah, it's like that's the central thing of the film. Is like each scene is kind of centered around these scenes of either some kind of sexual act happening that you don't actually see. It's like basically just imply that something's happening.
I hope you guys don't hate me for picking this movie to review.
You know, I was cursing you the whole 2 hours.
I don't blame you.
Am I watching this? I felt like I was wasting like 2 hours of my life.
It was, yeah.
You know, I mean, I hated it as it was on the surface. It sucks, but at the credits, it does tell you it's based on a play from around 19. It's actually based on a play from like 1900.
Okay, yeah.
So this guy wrote this play back then, and it was actually very controversial, and they criticized him for being a Jewish pornographer. They actually got racist about it. Yeah. So I guess it's pretty much the same accusations we're giving it today.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see what the play was like rather than this film, because I mean, depending on the play, I mean, I feel like we missed out on a lot of really good social critique with this film. I don't feel like this film delivered what the intention was very well. I think there was a good intention, you know.
Right. They didn't really dig deep. Like it was a little superficial.
Yeah, it seems like each of like the 10 parts is just like its own self-contained vignette. Like I don't know if they were supposed to like be through because you had like actors playing the same character, but not really. It's like the scene would be like a man and a woman in like 1920, and then we'll cut to that woman in like 1950 married to someone else, and it's like they have similar problems. Like the theme of the movie is basically like bittersweet or like missed love connections. Like nothing is about like having a happy ending. Like it's about love stories where like the people fall apart or where like things don't work out, which is interesting, but also because there's no like central narrative, it's like each scene just kind of stands on its own.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
confusing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a critique on relationships and just
throughout any time period. Right.
It was so confusing at first because you're seeing the same actor in literally less than 20 years being somebody else. So I wasn't sure if it's the same souls throughout time, but it doesn't make sense because the time is so close
it's like,
to each
what was
other.
the filmmaker trying to accomplish?
That was my question.
I thought I was trying to do like a Cloud Atlas thing at first, or like, is this going to be like a time travel sex romp? Like, what's the situation here? But
Cloud Atlas, that's interesting.
It's a very sensitive, you know, you gotta be sensitive with your approach of a musical while you're having sex. Like, it's very strange, you know, and
it doesn't happen often.
It doesn't ever, you never watch a musical where they're actually having sex and actually singing while they're having sex. It was just weird to me, but, you know, I don't know. I feel like the delivery could have been better. I love the attention,
and the
and I
actors
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Some of the
actors did really good performances, and like some of the scenes were like very interesting, like how they were set up, and like some of the cinematography was good. Yeah. But it feels like because they're all unrelated, it's like some of the scenes I really liked and some of them I really didn't like. So it's very hard to like judge the movie as a whole because it's like it was all unconnected.
Do you think the movie would have been better if it weren't a musical or if it weren't so sexual?
It has to be a musical because the play is a musical.
I don't know,
And it's
'cause
been
it's
adapted as a musical.
So you think it might have been too, not graphic, but just, I guess, explicit?
I don't know. I feel maybe he focused too much on the sex rather than on the relations that were happening before, because that's what the play is about: the relations before and after sex.
You really don't get a sense of the characters at all.
You don't care about the characters. You hate the characters. I can't stand seeing them. Like you're not invested in them at all. And and then especially when they're so cold, it's a big signature. I think each sequence is about a couple trying to have sex. The moment it happens, one of them becomes a major asshole to the other, just walks away, and it's just really just uncomfortable. And just weird.
I wouldn't even say it's all that explicit because, like I said, like every scene leads up to a sex scene, but they don't show anything. There's no nudity. It's all implied, and in some
insinuated.
Some scenes it can work out, but in like other scenes, it's like I feel like if they didn't have the build up to sex, like you could have had the scene work just as well. And sometimes it feels like the narrative stops so you could have the scene of people having sex, we don't see anything, and then they resume the scene. So I feel like if they took some of the sex out for like some scenes and just made it about the relationship of feelings, which they did, like 1-2 scenes was like that, and I enjoyed those. And then some other scenes I feel like they just kind of stopped because it was more like scandal stuff. Like if each scene is about sex, that's how they tried to set it up.
I really didn't mind the sexual, sexual nature.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but I feel like it was like a separate thing to the plot.
Yeah, I would have liked to see.
About.
I would have liked to see more cohesiveness between the time periods.
Yeah.
Like it was really.
And it's just strange to insert a scene, like to insert a couple's relationship in the Titanic thing.
Yeah.
That was really cheesy to me. But one of my favorite actors was the guy who was in the Titanic sequence and later becomes Jack. He's a really great actor.
Which one? Which one? The older guy or
he was the younger one?
The younger one.
He's the sweet, angelic looking one. I love him. He's great.
Wasn't he on Pretty Little Liars or something?
I don't know where else he played, but I'd love to see him more.
Yeah.
And I love the angel at the ending too. What's his name?
You took the one who was in that like box thing.
Yeah. That he was Leo in the film. He's a great actor too.
I liked Martha Plimpton.
Which one was Martha?
She was the blonde woman. I think she was the mayor or the politician.
Oh, okay. She was interesting.
She was actually in the Goonies.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She was in the Goonies.
She was in the Goonies.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, what is she doing in this? Like, she's the only really notable actor that has talent in this movie, and this was just a disappointment all around.
Yeah, it was weird.
I
appreciate the elements of the colors, like the strong reds. Those
visually
were fun.
great.
There were some very good visuals, and like some of the acting was good. But like I said, like because it wasn't like a central thing, I can't like judge it as a whole. I'm like some parts are good and some parts weren't. It's all kind of just jumbled together, so it's hard to judge.
Yeah, it is hard, but I think we can all agree it wasn't that great.
And it's just something I wanted to stop watching after 20 minutes.
I don't see myself ever watching this again.
Never.
Ever.
I appreciate the intention.
Yeah.
And actually, the director is, I think, a musical director. It seems that when I looked him up, he has other films that he's done that are musicals. And there's actually one film I wanted to see. It's called Mariachi Gringo. That one actually looks interesting. And he does approach the LGBT community a lot in his films, which is great. And I appreciate all that.
So I feel like the diversity in the film was very good. Like, they found a good range of actors to do good work, but like some performances were really good and some were kind of poor.
And I like that he didn't just focus on heterosexual relationships. It was,
it was very inclusive.
And the French prostitute in the opening scene, that was actually played by a guy.
Yeah, that was the same guy at the end. I couldn't believe it.
I recognized him right away, and that's why I was like,
this guy looks like a guy.
Yeah, but I love that he plays with, gender definitions and just all that. I love that. That was great intention, but the film could have been delivered better.
Agreed. It's disappointing, but I commend the director, Tom Gustafson.
Yeah, I was trying to remember his name. I looked it up yesterday.
Like, visually, overall, it's okay, but the way that the scenes kind of intertwine, it just did not work.
I mean, I give him credit. It's a hard film to make.
It was ambitious.
Based on a play that's a musical, too. It's even harder. But considering that, you have to approach with caution with the films that you're adapting out of plays. Yeah.
So, final thoughts on Hello Again?
I would say, like you said, it's very ambitious. Like, it has, like, very nice ideas. I just wish there was a stronger foundation to it that it built on. Like, if they had some kind of way of explaining, like, what kind of film was it first. Like, for the first 30 minutes, I had no idea, like, what it was doing. And, like, I think the first 30 minutes is actually, like, the weakest. Like, I didn't like the storyline of the soldier.
Yeah.
And either of the two scenes, I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And when he left, I'm like, okay, I like the film more. And that's when I realized, like, there's not a narrative to it. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, what's the thread? Like, what's connecting these people together?
Like
And it's like, if you embrace the madness, then I think you would enjoy it more.
like each of
If
these
you're not
vignettes,
looking for a plot.
each vignette could have been a decent movie on its own.
Yeah,
Each one,
like-
I think.
Well, some I didn't like as much, but yeah, each one, like,
Right.
I was interested in that world. I wish I'd seen more of it. Or if they had connected back, but they were just kind of contained on their own. Once it was done, then it was over. That's all you saw of it.
Yeah. Natalie, final thought.
We didn't talk about the music, considering it's a musical that's important.
That's a great point. Actually.
You know,
Wasn't that memorable for me anyway?
I mean,
It's okay.
because of the scenes, it interrupted me appreciating the music. But you have to understand, some of the music some of the lyrics were great. It was interesting. I
Some of the
liked
music
some
was
of it.
I like
but
I like the music in the nurse and the soldier scene.
the nurse and the
Not the nurse and the guy
Oh,
with the broken ankle.
Yes,
That
I
was-
enjoyed that.
yeah.
That was good.
But
It was just weird a lot.
it was a strange
Yeah,
one.
some of the songs kind of got around.
It's a hard film to make. You gotta
Would you guys see this if we're on Broadway?
I don't know, because I see a lot of off-Broadway stuff, so I think like that's why like I'm a little more forgiving to it, because I've seen stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
Spring Awakening was a very good like musical with like songs and featuring sex in it as well. But I feel like this one, the sex was almost separate, where it was kind of like put in to like be a thing. Like the music and the sex were separate, and it was trying to do both at once. And I feel like they didn't do a fair job of juggling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's focused a bit. It felt like it was more on the sex rather than the relationship.
Yeah, they could have focused on the actors' relationships to one another and the music.
Yeah, but as on stage, it was meant to be a stage play,
Right.
so I probably see it as a stage play more than a film.
Yeah, it's a lot of sets that they must have.
Yeah, it must be complicated. It'd be
Right.
interesting to watch that on stage. It's, yeah.
Okay, so that's Hello Again, and I don't think we're ever going to say hello again for that movie.
Nice one.
Thank you. I also wanted to mention Rumor Willis was in it.
Yeah,
Bruce Willis's daughter.
I was approaching. I was like,
She
what?
did like an okay job. Like her scenes, like she did good for what it was, but they didn't give her like too much of a range
Yeah,
to like act too much. So it's like she did a good job for like what they had her.
yeah. Maybe she'll be in the next Die Hard.
I'm surprised she has a great. Is that all their voices?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I didn't see in the credits otherwise.
'Cause
I'm
she-
surprised she has a great
She
voice.
is a singer. I looked on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
The scene was fairly good.
All right. So next up, slightly better. Not saying much though. It's called the Gatehouse.
Okay.
Now I'm just confused if it's England or
I think it's England.
Is it
like
the
they,
countryside?
Yeah, they say it's in English countryside.
Yeah,
So
English
I
countryside.
feel like it's an English film.
Father and
Yeah.
daughter live in the middle of nowhere in the English countryside, and basically the woods offer very mysterious, supernatural like entities, like monsters in the trees.
It's a common symbol throughout film
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, it's like a fantasy adventure, slightly horror.
Yeah, this one I found it had a really like weird tone. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
figure out the tone at all. Because it's basically like it's two films in one. Like
you know,
half of it follows the 10-year-old girl where she's like this funky girl with a green shovel, like goes treasure hunting in the woods, and like she has like the ghost of her mother is trying to give her advice about like a monster in the woods who might be coming. She has to protect the family, and it feels like this could be like a PG, like a fantasy adventure kind of thing.
right.
But then it also cuts to the dad where he's like plagued by the death of his wife. He's having these like psychological thriller nightmares, which often get like really violent, and
Right.
usually involve the daughter with like violence there as well. So it's like it's either a very hardcore psychological thriller kind of film with violence and gore, or it's like a childlike fairy tale kind of thing. And it's like it keeps cutting back and forth. That each scene, I don't know if this is going to be whimsical or violent, and like it really kind of makes
Its tone shifts every couple minutes.
It lost its focus. Like,
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes, I was legitimately scared. There was a good scene with the bed, when he's looking up and up. I'm not gonna say too much,
Yeah,
but
there
that
was-
scene, I literally could
that
not
was a
look.
bit
I had
scary.
my eyes away.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was so scary, and I was like, okay, this is good.
Right.
But then after a while, it's like, okay, so the mom's not haunting them anymore. It's this other weird monster in the woods, and the monster in the woods was so not.
Scary.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
It kind of reminded me of like a Terry Gilliam creature,
A little
Okay.
bit,
like from Fisher King.
yeah, if it had been like shot more
Yeah,
effectively,
that
but
was-
it's like they just shot like the monster costume straight on, so it's like it looks much less impressive than it could have been.
Right. I mean, there's some shots, some angles, like
Yeah, there
you
were
were
some
seeing
that were
against
pretty
the
good.
fog.
I think if they just stuck to the haunting of the ghost throughout the film, it would have been a legitimately scary movie.
Yeah. But again, if
the
it was
whole-
one or the other, it could have been good. Like if it just stuck to the woods and the little girl, it could have been a good like kind of like whimsical adventure fairy tale kind of thing. Or if it's about just the father and the ghost haunting like that, like it could have been a good psychological thriller. But it kept going back and forth, like even within the same scene. Like in one scene, I don't go into too much, but it's like the daughter is like digging in the yard, she finds an electrical cable, she hits it, and like the power goes out, she comes in, and she's been like, her hair's standing up, and she's like puffing out smoke, and it's like a Three Stooges scene.
It's supposed to be funny.
And then the very next scene is the dad's nightmare where he's like, he injures a daughter, and it's very bloody, and it's like, it's such like a weird thing between is the violence goofy or is it terrifying? Because like you had it within the same 2 minutes, and I don't know how to respond to it.
I would have liked to have seen more of a father-daughter drama. Just keep it simple. Because they were really good actors.
They were good.
The girl
She was
herself
excellent.
was a scary character by Agnes alone.
Scarlett Raynor is the young,
Yeah.
the 10-year-old girl.
She did great.
I child actor, she did a really good
I
job.
love her.
Yeah.
She's very sporadic, impulsive. She was, unpredictable. She was scary. She's
Interesting.
gonna grow up to be a serial killer. This character, though. I mean, she's going through a lot in this film.
No, she's gonna go on to better things.
But really, at the end of the film, instead of talking about the film itself, you're just constantly going over all the stupid moments that happen. It just doesn't make sense, even in the film world. It just doesn't. Like with the whole electric thing, the electric scene. And
Yeah, it's like, is the violence meant to be like funny, or is this supposed to be like scary? Like it never really commits. And at the ending, I'm like, they have to pick one. It's like they're like, okay, the monster's coming. They got to deal with this. So it's like, is it the human drama, or is it like the fantasy horror? And like they don't really like. You kind of do both, and it's really muddled. It's like I don't know if I should feel scared or like what's happening. It's like the ending is very hard to say. Like, what were you trying to say with the movie? Like, I really couldn't
Do you
understand.
think the tone and the sense of humor is like a British thing? Like it's not very American?
Not really. Like, I watch a lot of British films, so it's like I do get a lot of like British humor is like very subtle like that. But it's like, I've seen good British horror films. I've seen good British comedies, and you can have comedy and horror. Like it could have worked, but it's like you have to pick a tone. Like, is the monster scary, or is it like a thing for the daughter to overcome and grow, and like a fairy tale kind of setting? Like you have to pick one, and they did both very poorly.
I mean, it's even picking between
the genres.
I mean, it went from being a ghost haunting film to it being a weird monster in the woods.
And switching back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
I was totally put off when I saw the poster for the film, which is basically, it looks totally
Yeah, I was
horror.
gonna say the
I saw the
marketing needs
picture.
to be taken care of a
It's
little
like the
bit.
Gatehouse, and there's like splatters of blood on the.
Oh no, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
When
I
you
didn't
look up
see
the
the poster.
Gatehouse, you just see a behind the scenes promo
I
shot.
definitely know that there's
Yeah.
the Gatehouse, and then there's a monster emerging out of there in
Yeah,
the
I didn't see the
darkness.
poster.
It was like a total B horror movie. Like
Yeah.
that's really not what this is, though. That was false marketing, right?
Yeah.
So I was
If this was like a B horror, it would have been fine because it's like the dad's like a writer hired to investigate like a local lore thing, and I'm like, he's also haunted by the wife, so this could be psychological horror. Like it felt like almost like a Dunwich horror kind of thing, like an older Vince Price movie where like he goes in to learn about this horrible legend thing, and that could drag the daughter in, and then it's a psychological thriller.
Right.
Or is it about the daughter going in the woods and finding out about like these magic stones and stuff like that, and like. Again, like you could either be a psychological thriller horror film or a fairy tale. You can't really do both.
Yeah.
And the
I-
monster
didn't
was
do
not
it.
convincing.
Yeah.
The costume and the monster
Oh.
was not convincing. It's,
Yeah, and the girl in the tree and the roots and all that.
Yeah, and then like a hand coming out of the river. I mean, catching something. That's weird. It was
What
just weird.
It's another
But
quality
it's okay
film.
to have sense of humor and a
I
horror
like the
film
ambition,
with
not
a
too
mix. But the way they did it, it's just the horror itself was not convincing.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I'm,
all.
I sound very hard on the film, but it's like they did some very good parts. Like the comedy was really good. I really like the father and daughter. It's like I feel like if they had spent more time with the movie and figured out like just said what direction we want to take and stuck with it, I feel like they could have made a good film from it.
Right.
But it's just I feel like they started making it and just they had a lot of direction and just kind of went going in circles and never really had a satisfying ending.
They just stuck to the ghost. That was scary.
Yeah.
Again, but then
So basically, we can agree that this and Hello Again have very little direction.
It just feels very mismatched from
Yeah.
like, where it's trying to go. Like they try to do too much; it's a little too ambitious in each one.
too ambitious.
Right.
If they had scaled it back a little bit and really focused on what they wanted to do, I feel like they could have both been good movies.
Okay, cool. So final thoughts on the Gatehouse, Adam?
It definitely wasn't scary enough. And it's
Yeah.
I said a horror film is supposed to freak you out a little bit. It wasn't convincing.
Didn't do it.
It was just weird. It wasn't believable. I wouldn't waste my time.
Right.
If you're trying to get scared, watch another film.
Right.
I
Agreed.
keep saying it.
I concur. CJ?
Yeah, like to me, like the best scare was in the beginning, but also
Yeah.
because I've seen that from internet short several years ago, so I don't know if that was like they saw that and put it in because it's very unrelated to the film, the scare. So it could also just be coincidence. Like it's a very simple thing to come up with on your own.
Yeah.
So it's like it was very well shot, but it's like they have very good scenes,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the scenes are really, really bad. So it's like there was potential there, and then I feel like some days they just really phoned it in. So it's very hard to tell.
Yeah, it feels like all the effort was in the first 5 to
Like
10
I'll look
minutes.
into other films that like the director they might make. Like hopefully if they can work from this one and get like a bigger budget and figure out what they want to do, they could make a good movie, depending on like what it is. So I'll look into other stuff, but there are some enjoyable scenes. But overall, like if someone else puts it on, watch it. But I wouldn't go out and find it myself.
Yeah. I just watch it for the 2 leads because they're great actors.
Yeah,
The
they
first
do
10
have good
minutes.
chemistry
Yeah.
in some parts.
And that would be Scarlett Raynor as a 10-year-old girl,
She was great. Yeah.
and the father, who I thought was great,
He's a
is
director too.
Yeah.
Simeon Willis. He looked familiar. I'm not sure where I've seen him, but I liked him too. All right. Next film, The Man from Earth. And this is an interesting one because it was actually released in 2007. So they came out with a new Blu-ray DVD copy for the 10th anniversary.
Is it true that it got a cult following? I kept seeing.
I read that. Yeah, I think so.
I'm surprised because I wasn't that impressed as much as you two were about the
Really?
film. Yeah.
I thought it was good. It wasn't great, but it was,
It would have been a
It's
great
a-
short film.
Yeah, it's a very dry
You
film.
know?
Like it's
Yeah.
a lot of talk about philosophy, which is
Right.
interesting for what it is, but it's not a drama. It's more just like characters sitting in a room, and that's what I like most about it. Like the other ones, the characters were kind of muddled and not really defined. This one, you come in like the characters are defined very easily. They're very good in like the parts they have. The actors do a fantastic job, and it's like each person they're having these philosophical debates, and like each one's coming from a different viewpoint.
Well, before we get into
Yeah.
before we get into that, let me just stop. So the synopsis is: college professors discuss many topics with a colleague who claims to be thousands of years old.
Billions,
So
supposedly.
yeah, and his name is John Oldman. Old man, get it?
Yeah.
And he claims to be like a caveman who has
Been
survived
alive for 14,000 years.
thousands of
Over
years.
1,000,
His
yeah.
body like regenerates every century or whatever. So yeah, it's a strange one, but it's got an interesting cast, and it was actually later turned into a stage play by the director, and you really get that sense during the movie because it's just one
Yeah, that'd be
set.
a stage
It's this
play.
like house or cabin, and you've got like 10 different characters. And it's very talky. But yeah, I thought it was great. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like when it came in, like I wasn't sure if it was something like they discover what he is, but it really starts off with like the professor's walking around and like he's leaving and he won't explain why. And then he says, "You know what? Let me just tell you, I'm 14,000 years old. I'm a caveman," and no one believes him. So they start asking questions about history, like trying to grill him, and they go into like this long thing of like, what does it mean to be like that old, like to have seen all of human history, like. How would you react to that? How do you view humanity?
Mhm.
And like the story works out very well from there. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of great debates to it.
Yeah. What did you think?
I was honestly, it was interesting at first. The first 20 minutes, I was interested. After that, I was just bored.
After
And
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Really?
maybe half hour at
Oh,
most.
no.
I don't know. I just feel like it was played out too much. It was too much.
But compared to the
It
other two
was stretched
ones.
out. I mean, compared to the
Yeah.
other films, I mean,
Yeah.
that and Gatehouse might have
Yeah.
had a better. I mean.
Yeah, this one I think like it's a good film, but it wouldn't be for everyone. Like this is like if you want to have like watch something about like historical debates or like
Philosophical debates.
philosophical
yeah.
debates. Like if you want to see that, then like if you sit down and you know what you're in for, you really enjoy it. But I definitely know like this wouldn't be a film for everyone. Like if you want to go see a 2-hour stage play of it, then it wouldn't quite be your kind of movie.
I was looking forward to the philosophical aspects that should have came out of this film. I did not feel that at all. I feel like more could have came out of it.
They touched on it, but they didn't really go deep. It's true. But what do you
It
think?
wasn't very convincing.
No.
Some of the actors I didn't really like. I was surprised they got that big actor in there to begin with. It just felt like such a small film.
Which one actor are you referring to?
The older guy with the
Oh,
mustache,
the
the psychologist.
Yeah, He was in-
Richard Reel.
yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
Office Space.
Yep.
He
That's
was
where
in
I
a
knew
lot of
him
from.
films. He's a very familiar face.
Right. It's done a lot.
Supposedly the main actor, I think he was a waiter in Fight Club or something. Yeah.
David
John
Lee
Oldman.
Smith,
I think so, yeah.
the main
He's
actor.
been in some things too, but he
Yeah.
wasn't convincing to me in this film.
Well,
specifically.
Tony Todd was in it too. He played Candyman.
Oh yeah, that was him.
He had a very
I was wondering who that
kind of a
was, yeah.
small role, unfortunately. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he did a good job in the film.
Yeah, and you had
I
William
mean,
Cat.
it was so uncomfortable too because I love films when they make it very simple and it's about one room, one
Yeah.
scene. But it really felt stretched out. I was bored. I felt uncomfortable just because everyone was just, all the characters just looked uncomfortable too. I don't know.
If it were maybe half an hour shorter, I think.
It would have made more sense. Plus,
Yeah.
the writer, actually, he wrote this on his bed. He's a short story writer, and he wrote this on his deathbed.
Oh, you're right.
A few decades ago.
Jerome
so.
Bixby?
Yeah, Jerome
Yeah.
Bixby. Yes, I think as a short film it would have made more sense.
But
Maybe it was supposed to be a short film, he just stretched it out.
But I do like the intent of the filmmakers, like combining
Yeah.
drama with sci-fi like that.
Yeah, I did enjoy the approach to it.
Right.
It's like I'm actually like very uniquely qualified like watching this film because it's like I'm a screenwriter, so I know it from the film angle, but also I majored in anthropology and history. So it's like when they were discussing all the stuff of like the Paleolithic and like the history stuff, like it was all actually pretty well researched. Like obviously you can't get everything right, but they went into it like the people who were the scientists like asked really good questions, like finding out about historical periods, like where would you be, like what would things be like in prehistoric times and like that. Like they do a good job there. And one of the big things they talk about is that he says like being 14,000 years old, he doesn't know everything about human history because he doesn't know it at the time. And a lot of it is you learn something and then you have to unlearn it, which I think is kind of the core of the film because you have these college professors who know what the world is. They're experts in the world. And this guy's trying to challenge them. And you see the people who get very defensive and don't want to accept any of this new information. They don't want to believe that there's anything beyond what they know.
Right.
And that's what this guy's entire life would be. It's like every period is, this is how the world is, and then has to learn, oh no, this is how the world is now. And he's been through that. He's more adept at like learning new information.
Right.
And I feel like that was a very good kind of thing. Like you have all this kind of prejudice and bias in how you think of it.
What I love about it, it's a very ambitious and bold premise, and they don't really show you any evidence that he is a caveman.
Oh yeah.
So they're proposing all this fantastical stuff, crazy stuff, and all they have to back up with it is their words, you know? And I think that was the most interesting part of it.
Yeah, because it's like they kept saying like, if you show us anything, and it's like, no, I don't have anything to show you. It's just if you believe it or not.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was interesting. So final thoughts on The Man from Earth?
I very much enjoyed it. Like if you're interested in seeing like a bit of like philosophical debates, like they don't get too into it. Like they could, like if it's like the characters that bought him and they sat around and discussed it, but a lot of it is, do you want to believe that he's right or not based on faith? Like, do you want to believe that the world is different from how you've seen it and like what you might be able to learn, or do you want to clamp down and like stay with what you have and believe in sanity? Like that was very much a good thing of the film. So if you want to see that kind of debate, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Good. Natalie, final thoughts?
I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. The writing could have been better. The casting could have been better. Some of the actors took away from the film rather than adding to the film. You know, I love philosophical. I love films that touch on philosophy. So, you know, I was kind of expecting some Bergman-esque type thing out of this. Because Bergman was a big guy about philosophy and just questioning existence.
Mortality.
Yeah. And, you know, I expected more, and I didn't like the film. I wouldn't see it again. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm sorry.
So it's not on your radar,
No.
guys. Okay. So we have a few minutes left. Just want to see what you guys are looking forward to seeing in theaters.
I just saw Thor 3.
You
I
saw it?
highly enjoyed that. Yeah.
Which one?
I hear great things.
Thor 3?
Oh.
Yeah. Ragnarok.
I don't like the trailer. Why did they cut off his hair? I don't know. Is this the one where they cut off?
Yeah, they cut off his hair.
Got a haircut.
No, it looks good.
I would say
Isn't Thor's signature the long hair? I mean,
Kind of, right?
Back at some point.
I want to
it's
see.
like masculine.
I think
don't
after
know.
so many films, like this is the 5th or 6th film where it's Thor, and he just like, I don't want to wear the wig anymore, please.
Yeah, he probably.
Oh, that's a wig?
Gotta be something.
I believe so. Like
should
all
be
the
a
Thor
wig.
films, I believe it's a wig. I don't think he grew his hair out that long. It has to be.
Yeah, it's not
I'm pretty
possible.
sure it's a wig all the time.
No. I would see it just for Jeff Goldblum. Was he hilarious?
Oh, he was.
He's in it?
He was. Yeah, Jeff
Oh my
Goldblum
God.
is like the campiest person. Like if you saw Benicio del Toro as the collector in Guardians of the Galaxy, he plays like that kind of character, but to the extreme. Like he's
It's nice to see him.
very over the top with it. It looks like he has a blast making the film. It's so much fun to watch.
Great. Natalie, what are you looking forward to seeing?
I don't even know what's coming out.
Well, we got Justice League in a few weeks.
Oh yes. I didn't like the trailer. I'm more of an Avengers. I like the way they're doing Avengers.
Yeah,
Avengers
I
is
agree.
consistently good.
DC's just trying to play catch up.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a comic. And then I think that Ben Affleck is still Batman. I still am against that. I don't know.
He's not the worst man. He's not, you know.
You like
He did an
this
okay
guy?
He's
job.
not Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Like he's not a crappy.
Val Kilmer was yeah. That's
I didn't.
true.
I'm not a Kilmer fan, but
Yeah, you didn't like Kilmer.
no, not really.
I don't know. I just don't like Justice the way they're approaching Justice League.
Yeah, like I love Wonder Woman because they had Jeff Johns on there. They fixed like a lot of what was wrong with the previous movies. So
was he a producer or writer?
he was involved in the writing process. Like he discussed the script with them, and he was directly producing. Like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, he tried to like give them advice on it, and they kind of silenced him. And in this one, they finally said, "Okay, you know what? Be involved in Wonder Woman," and that's why it was like so bright and colorful and it was about hope. Like in all those movies, it's like being heroes of burden. They don't want to do it. They don't really focus on saving people. Wonder Woman, she's all about saving people, and that's why I felt so good.
I wouldn't say it was bright and colorful.
Not so much bright and colorful, but I mean, like, it wasn't as dour.
Right.
Like, it wasn't as absorbed in its own mythology like the other films were. So, Justice League, it's still between Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. Like, does he change a lot of it? Because I know originally it was 2 hours and 50-minute runtime, and now it's an hour and 55 minutes. So, they cut out, like, a lot to it. So, do they change it for the better? So, I don't know about Justice League. I'll look forward to the other films they make after. Like, I like the approach they're taking now, but I don't know if Justice League is still a holdover from how Batman v Superman.
Now, what's with is Christopher Nolan like completely phased out?
I have no idea. I know he wrote Man of Steel. I don't think he was involved in Batman v Superman or the other ones.
So he kind of just got rid of him.
Yeah.
No, that's too bad. Well, anything else coming out that you?
Well, let us know what's coming out.
Oh. Well, all I know is that there's going to be a couple of more smaller films we're going to be reviewing on the show. Yeah, whatever. Because you don't need someone like me reviewing, an Avengers or
everyone will have an opinion.
Yeah, I think
these ones, like, I never would have found these two films if you hadn't sent them to me.
Yeah,
I regret two of them, but I had the opportunity.
I appreciate you reviewing independent films rather than the big films.
Well, I kind of do like a mix of big and small, but for the most part, we review small films that are under the radar.
That makes sense.
That's the point.
I get it now.
Yes, you got it. So, anything else going on you guys want to talk about?
I mean,
doesn't have to be film-wise, like.
I got nothing going on with me.
No?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm a very boring man. So.
No, stop. No, are you doing anything with the Eternal Lion?
Yeah, we're still waiting to get into production on the next movie. The director right now, he's getting married in a few months, so we're kind of splitting attention from there.
Ramos?
No, Vinny.
Vinny, okay.
Yeah, Jake Ramos will be taking care of most of the directing, but they kind of go back and forth between them.
Okay.
But Vinny Bonfanti, he's the star of the next movie we're making, but also he's getting married, so it's like we're going to focus on shooting some of the stuff between that.
Okay, should be fun.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have something soon going into next year, because we're very excited about making the movie.
Nice.
But going back to the 80s films you got going on today, I heard that they're bringing back Overboard. Did you hear about that?
They're remaking Overboard?
Yeah, you're actually super cool. You figured that one.
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, 1986.
Yeah, that's a great film. But I
she
hate
gets
that they're
amnesia
remaking it.
And then he tells her, "Oh, you're my wife," and tricks her to staying in his house. And yeah, like I really want to see where the scene after this movie ends, where he goes to jail for basically imprisoning a woman. Like that's exactly what it is. It's a horrible concept. Like it's funny as a movie because it was the 80s, you could get away with anything.
Essentially, he's kidnapped this woman.
Yeah, basically that's what he's done. He's found a woman with amnesia and said, "Oh, you live with me. You're my wife. Do everything for me." But because they fall in love, he doesn't get to go to jail. Like this would be an episode. This would be an episode of Criminal Minds if it was done today.
I like it.
Yeah,
I love the film.
So wait, where did you hear that they were making?
It's supposedly Anna Faris is going to be playing Goldie Hawn's part, which I'm okay with. I like that. I love Anna Faris as a character, as an actress.
Oh, yeah, she's
great.
And Chris Pine is he not
Chris
the?
Pine, no.
Just the.
I'm unhappy with the actor they chose. I can't remember his name, but he looks older. He's not. I don't know. He doesn't
work?
have. It doesn't look like it would work.
Okay.
But let's see what happens. Maybe he'll switch it up a bit.
Yeah, like I said, if it's Kurt Russell, it's a comedy. If it's anyone else, then it feels like a kid.
Yeah.
Like, Kurt Russell is just that charming.
I don't want to see Channing Tatum in
God.
Splash. He's going to be in Splash.
Making Splash.
He's going to be the Tom Hanks character. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. No, I wish I were.
Oh my god! I'm afraid of what they're gonna do with Overboard. I'm a little nervous with Splash now.
Yeah, as long as they don't touch Back to the Future, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Are you telling me you don't want to see Channing Tatum in Back to the Future?
No, I think they had a rumor it was gonna be like Jeff Daniels and Zac Efron.
Zac Efron
as Marty. Yeah.
Of course they.
That could have worked.
Zac Efron, I actually do like him as an actor. He's proven his chops. I don't know about Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
Because Christopher Lloyd was fantastic.
Or the woman in Glee, the principal in Glee.
Jane Lynch?
Yeah, I think she would have been an interesting, like a gender bender doc.
Could be interesting.
You know?
Gender bender doc. I
Yeah,
like that.
thank
That's
you.
interesting.
Just coined that phrase today.
Gender bender doc.
Yeah.
They're
So-
remaking a Lion King. They're doing. You heard about that live Lion King?
I know they're gonna do Little Mermaid.
They're doing Little Mermaid.
They're doing like all.
They're doing
Classic.
every movie. Anything
Yeah.
that was animated that they could do the same story again with new actors
But
and just make money, they'll do it.
as long as they have a good director like Kenneth Branagh with Cinderella, that was awesome. But the live action Beauty and the Beast that came out last
I didn't
year,
watch it.
earlier this year,
I
not
was
great.
afraid of it.
It was like a shot-for-shot remake of the animated movie. Not good.
Yeah, what's the point of this? Yeah.
Well, guys, unfortunately, we're about out of time.
Oh.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. this
Thank you
is-
for the opportunity to bring up films.
Yeah, of course, anytime. Please, you're invited anytime.
It's great.
All right, guys. So that has been our show. This has been Under the Radar through Village Connection Radio Vision. And I want to thank our engineer, Mr. Jim Savali. Thanks, sir. And we will see you next Sunday. Take care.
Yo, guys,
It's done.
come on in.
Yeah, that's it.
We're good.
The boys are back in town.
Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Nice. Fun.
That was great.
Yeah.
That worked out timing wise. I was afraid they were going to start up. That's why I was telling you.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, picture. Yeah. Definitely.
Jim, would you be able to do it for us?
Not a problem.
While we're sitting there.
Pete,
too?
photographer.
Yeah, we'll sit.
Can you take a snapshot for them? He's actually a photographer. It'd be good.
With a phone?
Yeah, you tell.